So we want to shift a little bit westward on the border from El Paso, Texas to Nogales, Arizona, and actually ambos Nogales, as we call it, because Nogales, Arizona and Nogales, Sonora are really or used to be, maybe, one sort of metro area. And really excited to have our next panelist join us, Joanna Williams, who's the new Executive Director of the Kino Border Initiative. Joanna, the work that you guys are doing in Nogales is amazing, and I'm so excited that our conference gets to hear from you today.
Thank you for welcoming me, Adam. It's really a special honor to be here with you all at CCDA, because the reason that I'm here at the Kino Border Initiative is in part because of Casa Chirilagua in Northern Virginia, which is a part of CCDA as well. And it was there that I met Central American families, there that I heard from kids about their experience of crossing the border. And there the Casa Chirilagua vision is learning to love our neighbors as ourselves. And it was that love for folks in Northern Virginia and that love that the ministry there taught me that made me want to come to the Kino Border Initiative and understand this part of the journey. I felt a sense of call here. I thought that God was calling me down here to go back to Casa Chirilagua and stay involved there. And it turns out that God had other plans for me and really has continued to call me and confirm my call here in Nogales at the work in the work of the Kino Border Initiative. So I want to briefly talk about the work of KBI, but really leave a lot of space for Naomi, who's joining us to share her experience. Naomi is going to be sharing in Spanish, and we have our lovely interpreter, Rosalie, here as well. So if you go to the bottom, while I'm speaking, if you go to the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little globe that says interpretation. If you don't happen to speak Spanish, you're welcome to listen to Naomi in Spanish, but if you don't speak Spanish, you can hit that interpretation globe and then select English as the language that you'll be listening in. That way we'll be able to save a lot of time and hear Naomi and fully understand her. So what does loving our neighbor look like at the Kino Border Initiative? We're seeking to respond to the needs and realities of migrants in Nogales, Mexico. We're a binational Catholic organization, and we respond in 3 different ways. First is humanitarian assistance, the second is education, and the third is research and advocacy. In our humanitarian assistance, in March, we provided over 7,000 meals. We gave clothing to almost 700 people, and we provided medical assistance to over 150 people. So those are some of the basic services that we're able to provide here, in addition to psychological care and social work and other elements of humanitarian assistance. But really, if I was to boil down our humanitarian assistance, it's really the question of what does it literally look like to receive Jesus every single day? And we believe strongly in what Matthew 25, the invitation and the command of Matthew 25 of welcoming Jesus here in Nogales, Mexico. So that's what our humanitarian assistance centers on. And then our education and advocacy looks at transforming hearts, minds, and policies in the United States and Mexico. But education and advocacy in many ways is answering that question of what does it look like to work together towards the kingdom, which I know is the work of CCDA writ large and really our call as Christians. So those are the dimensions of work that we're involved in, but truly in relationship with the individuals that we welcome here. And so that's why I want to make sure to give most of my time, or most of the Kino Border Initiative time, to Naomi, who's accompanied by Jarrett, who's our education coordinator, and he's a Jesuit in formation. So again, if you haven't done so yet, go to the bottom of your screen with that interpretation globe and select English if you want to listen to Naomi in English. Obviously, if you speak Spanish, you can just listen in Spanish. So Naomi, thank you so much for joining us. And the floor is yours.
Y ahora puede compartir. Sí.
Hola, buenas tardes, no sé, buenas tardes o buenos días. Mi nombre es Naomi. Yo soy de El Salvador y soy migrante. Pues el recorrido, yo me vine de El Salvador por amenazas, no de pandillas, sino que de las mismas autoridades. Pues es un camino muy...
It's a long journey. I have 2 two kids with me, two girls, and it's a dangerous journey. I arrived here in order to ask for asylum. I haven't been able to ask for asylum because of Title 42. I have met a lot of people here in Nogales that they've deported and people who have also suffered a lot. But here it's not open yet to ask for asylum. It's really dangerous for us, us who are foreigners. There is a lot of danger. We have to stay inside, not really go out on the street. It's hard for kids to be able to attend school or to have an education. This is impossible. And we're wondering when it will open up for us to ask for asylum. We're stuck. There are too many people who are being deported. And they're putting people at risk. There are too many children. Thankfully, thanks to God, we're here at Kino. Kino is able to help us. They give us clothing, anything that a person might need. They're really helping us quite a bit. Being in an unfamiliar country is really difficult.
Thank you so much for sharing some of your story with us. Can you share more about some of the hope that you have with your journey? What is it that you hope is at the end of this journey?
Pues yo espero que nos den el asilo.
I hope that they will give us asylum so that my kids can have an education and to be able to live in a safe and secure place. And this is what I tell my daughters. I want to be able to tell them, you are safe here. You're safe in this place. I, have hope in God that yes, this will happen. That we will reach the safe place that we're trying to get to.
And what would be a message that you would give to your fellow Christians here in the United States about people like you? What should we know about you, our sister in Christ?
I would like to tell them that they pray for all migrants, that they give us that strength through prayer, because God will open the doors. There are so many migrants who are here with children. There are unaccompanied children. That you just keep them in your prayers. Our brothers and sisters in the United States, God does open doors.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would want to say to our audience today?
Thanks to God, this journey is dangerous and hard, but He's brought us here to a place that's not necessarily safe, but I know that He will open doors. He is strong and powerful, and even though that we're here, we haven't been left without food. Here we've been able to have some basic needs, and we've had this long and arduous journey, and because of that, we're hoping that we're meant to arrive safely somewhere.
Well, it's my privilege to just bless you, and I know everyone that's watching this will be praying for you and your family and the others in your situation, that there is an end to this journey that is the flourishing of you and your kids and your safety as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. Thank you, Mami. Joanna, is there anything else that you want to follow up on regarding the work of Kino or other stories that you think would be good for our CCDA Southwest family to hear about what's going on in ambos Nogales?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks again, Naomi, just for sharing. Naomi's experience of coming up from El Salvador, as she mentioned, is one of many families, parents who are making really difficult decisions about what does it look like to keep my kids safe. We had, and I'm a new parent myself. I have a 7-month-old baby, and so I can identify with some of the people who arrive. Whether that's folks like Naomi who are arriving with their kids, or people who have left their kids behind and are trying to make the journey by themselves to then later on support their children. Just a couple of weeks ago, we received a young man from Honduras here who was relatively middle class. He had a good job in a year and a month ago, and then he lost that job because of the pandemic. And then the small business that his family was running, that was the supplemental income, was destroyed in the hurricanes in the fall. So there's many individuals who are arriving because of their fleeing violence, like Naomi is from El Salvador. But there's also people like this dad in Honduras who said, in just a year, I went from paying private school tuition for my son to wondering if I had enough money for him to eat. And I just can't stay in my town and listen to my son worry about going hungry, or worry about my son going hungry. So I think ultimately what our call is, as Catholics and as Christians, is to think about, and what does it look like to promote family and the value of family, and the flourishing of families, because it's ultimately through families that God is able to show his love and able to grow churches, and ultimately the motivation of so many individuals who arrive here in Nogales is that love of family, and the faithfulness that you heard Naomi speak about, in the sense that God is always journeying with migrants, but also God is showing himself in the actions of the people who are accompanying migrants. And I think that's the invitation for all of those of you who are joining today as well, is how can I be part of welcoming Jesus? Whether that's in immediate assistance, or whether that's in providing assistance to unaccompanied minors, like we heard about from Benny, but also in raising our voices in advocacy, and in speaking to saying we want a society that reflects our values. We want a society that holds the holiness of this migrant journey and of the dignity of migrants to be paramount. And that requires reaching out to Congress people, reaching out to the administration, and really speaking, especially from a faith-based perspective, about I think that we're in a moment of moral reckoning, and we can choose to be a society that leans into love and remembers that in love there is great abundance, and God will provide what's necessary for us to continue in love. Or we can be a society that chooses to set limits and to exclude and to believe in scarcity. And I personally believe in the abundance of God. I think that all of you are here because you believe in the abundance of God. And so let's live into that, not just as individuals, but also as a community and as a society.
Wow. Thank you, Joanna. So we are moving into a time for Q&A, but I have one other question for you, Joanna, especially for folks who are watching this who are in Arizona. What are some ways we can be involved in supporting the work of Kino?
Thanks, Adam. My answer changes now that I'm the executive director. I used to work just in education and advocacy. So in my executive director role, there's certainly a role for those who want to support Kino Border Initiative financially. It's because we can hire staff and buy supplies that allows us to provide the support to people like Naomi. At the same time, we do need you to be involved in education and in advocacy. So that means sharing Naomi's story with your neighbors. That means, especially for those of you who are in Arizona, reaching out to our senators, Senator Kelly and Senator Sinema, and communicating to them this moment of moral reckoning and what you believe from a faith-based perspective we should be doing, because I think that we in Arizona have the power to change the nation's policies, and in order to do that, we need everyone in the community to become involved in that work.
Excellent, thank you.